You
I
know, like I love those really well constructed timers that click away and they
hmm
show us something 30 seconds out, a minute out. But we
hmm
entertain people while they're in the chat,
I
waiting.
I'd like to hope so. Now, I mean, it is the question of whether they are entertained or not is kind of up to them, I think. So, hello everyone. Let's entertain them. And I have a question for you, Daryl. Are you ready for
Go
my
ahead.
question?
Um,
Okay.
Hang on. Yep, go ahead.
Wow. Alrighty then. So we've all heard it.
Hmm.
Satya Nadella said, "Hey, we've invested and we're investing even more into Chat GPT and OpenAI, and we're going to bring this stuff into our stuff, into Microsoft's products." My question to you, sir: what service or feature would you like to see Chat GPT integrated into first at Microsoft that you use?
You know, I thought of another one while you were still speaking.
Good. I was
That's
trying
how
to give you some
full of
time.
ideas.
Yes.
Now, first one. I know that they have plans to bring it into Bing, so that's your public experience of search. I think it would also help to bring it into Microsoft Search, so that as you're within Microsoft 365 and you're,
Mhm.
needing to create something, search for something, that you're getting suggestions for starting things alongside your search results for documents. All right, so that's one.
So like a oh, you didn't find it, why don't you go ahead and create it kind of thing? And let me
Kind
help you
of, yep.
create it. Here's your first
Well,
three paragraphs.
I know that ChatGPT, some people are using it as search and then being disappointed when they only see results up to
Yeah.
2021. But
Right.
I think I see there is an overlap, but there's also some distinction. So
Mhm.
yeah, I think yeah, create it, search it. Here's some guidance around it. That would be helpful. What about you, Daniel?
Well, you said two things. That was
Oh, I
first.
did have two things. So the other thing was, you can get coaching as you're writing.
Hmm.
Um, I forgot the name of the feature or product now, but they're right there, right? You know, you've got
Yeah.
words and phrases and things, so that's already being suggested. Um,
hmm
I think like even just giving a starting paragraph to something would be quite cool as you're typing.
That would actually be awesome. Just to kind of get you, especially if like writer's block or something, you're like,
Hmm.
oh, I don't know how do I outline this or how do I frame this? Mine, I will go with, and there's several, but I'll go with one because that was the question, and some people follow the rules around here. Is is I'd like to see, we have this feature in Power BI where you can kind of ask questions of data. I'd like to see being able to ask a question in Power BI and it be able to pull that information from internal,
Mm.
depending on what you select, internal and external public data, and tell you the answer, but visually, right, with a report page. Say, and have it just go ahead and create the page for me.
Hmm.
Tell me the demographics and the spread of hospitalization for COVID, or whatever, and then and it creates a report, shows a map, shows like that kind of stuff. I think would be really nice. We have some integrations, some ability to ask questions of our data, but it's kind of elementary. I'd like to. It would be interesting to integrate that.
Hmm. Yeah, data sets is a whole other question, isn't it? Like,
Yeah,
the moment it is a big data set that's made out of public stuff, but how would they manage internal data
and how
sets?
would they integrate it to make it live rather than what you're saying is that not 2 years old, right?
Hmm. Hmm. Well, Daniel, we are at time. Let's go for it.
Hello.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Pete. Feel free to chime out there in the chat, and anyone else who's there too, jump in and say hello. We'll flash your message up on the screen and say g'day, g'day. This is the 365 Message Center show. Thanks for being patient with us as we skipped a week. We felt like there was one or two messages that we could cover, and both of us had a lot going on, so we skipped a week. But here we are.
Let's caution though here. I don't want to say. I don't want us to think. Give the impression to our listeners and to our watchers that what we had going on was more important than you. That's not true. It's just that we felt like there wasn't a whole lot of messages out there for us to cover, and then we've integrated them, the ones we thought were good, into this week's anyway. So hey, quality over quantity, right? So welcome everyone to episode 270, and I think this is a great start to 2023, Darrell. I think we've things have been going well. How about you? We're at the end of the first month. How are you doing?
Okay, I won't get into it, but just to say that there's a lot of water in Auckland right now.
There is.
Some may have seen that we're facing unprecedented floods. What is it with this word unprecedented, right? We've used it so many times for so many things lately that it's not unprecedented to use the word unprecedented.
Right. It's become very common, as it were. So stay dry. We hope all of those in New Zealand, and especially in those areas of major flooding, are doing well and are able to recover quickly and easily. Thank you everyone for joining. I think our title, our headline, as it were, for this week, updated meeting recap, is an interesting one, and we're gonna start with that one. But first, we're gonna say, people, go ahead and hit if you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and hit the thumbs up. If you're listening to this as a podcast, go ahead and give us a like and a rating on the platform that you're listening, because the podcast is available everywhere you get your podcasts. So please give us a rating. We'd love to see those 5 stars and those thumbs up. And go ahead and share this video, this audio out to those that so that they can come along and learn with you and with us, and we can be a nice, happy family. And I'm going to call Darrell the black sheep of that happy family, but hey, he's wearing black today, by the way, for everybody that's wondering. So go ahead and give us a share. We'd really appreciate it.
Indeed. Well, yes, Daniel, as you said, we've got a couple of good messages that we've wrangled together. Wrangled. Daniel, start us off with this one about Outlook.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so this is meeting recap on Outlook on the web, MC 500 906. And how many times have you walked away from a meeting, or just left a meeting, and said, wait, what did we discuss? What was that meeting yesterday? There were some points we discussed we needed to get done. I do it quite frequently because I like to see people putting in action items in chat in a meeting in Teams, for instance. So you can just go back to the chat and see what was decided. This is the bringing to you the ability to go back into that meeting. So go to your calendar, and this is in Outlook on the web, okay, which is the platform I use. I use Outlook on the web rather than the app. And you go in, open it up, and you're going to be able to see, there'll be a link when you open it up to click for the view meeting recap. And Darrell's showing that on the screen right now, the little animated GIF here to show how that works. So what it'll do, it'll pull up a recap. And what's a recap? To me, it's the things that were said, the things that were shown, and the decisions that were made in a meeting. I'm just throwing that out there as that's the kind of my qualifiers. Well, attachments for this meeting, the kind of agenda, and any notes that you're taking, as well as the recording, transcript, if those things were done in the meeting, and the attendants who showed up will all be made available to you in the bottom part of the meeting information. And now there's some things to look here and go, wait a minute, that's interesting. And I think the biggest for me is the OneNote integration. You'll see it there under meeting recap. You have recording, transcript, and attendance buttons, but then right below that, you see a OneNote icon that has the sales analysis review.1, which is the OneNote file for this. And then it has agenda and notes underneath that. So this is a OneNote integration, okay, for your meeting. And then the other thing that I see over to the right is a little personal, a person, I guess, icon to say who's last edited this. And so we can get that information of who's been active on this meeting information over on the right-hand side. So this is, for me, I like this because, wow, I can get all the information in one place. I could tell you how many times I've gone off looking for things that was shared in a meeting. But I love this integration with OneNote. I think this is kind of a change in behavior that people are going. If you're not used to doing this, this is something that I'd love to see more people doing, so that we can capture that information in a consumable area for everyone to get to. What do you think, Darrell? What do you think about this meeting recap and the information that's provided?
Yeah, we do see a slight change in where things are found that have been in the recap for a little while, the recording, transcript, and attendance. But it is the OneNote integration, which is something newish. Like we've seen it talked about last year, maybe even a bit before that, where the initial plan was to have an agenda, notes, and follow-on tasks that you could add to a meeting beforehand. And this is the kind of the pre-planning change in behavior that would be helpful for people who want to come back to a meeting invite, simply just going back to the meeting invite and finding everything to do with the meeting. It's an integration of OneNote, but it's actually a portion of it's powered by Loop. That's what you were saying, Daniel, that this person is in there right now with the green circle around it, and if a couple of other people were in there too, you would be able to see those notes and maybe cursors that are adding to that. And collapsed under there, of course, is that agenda list as well, which probably not as important to show in a follow-up or recap, but it is there as part of that original artifact.
Well, I think for me, this is bringing technology. This is an adoption activity that's going to happen for organizations. If this is what you want, then you're going to have to train people that when they're in a meeting, how do we take notes? How do we capture those decisions that are made? And then how do you look at them afterwards? So, I mean, it's just something that if you want to use this functionality, you're going to have adoption in your organization. There is some things to know about this. This is for scheduled meetings in your calendar. Okay, this is not for meetings that are in channels. So yet another reason maybe not to use channel meetings, Teams channel meetings. There's some people that love Teams channel meetings for good reason, but this is one that meetings that are on group calendars, this won't be available. Ad hoc meetings, meaning, hey, I call somebody in Teams directly and we talk and have an ad hoc meeting.
That's the Meet Now button, isn't it?
Yeah. And then meetings, if you have, and this one's interesting, meeting recordings that are started automatically in Teams will not appear in the recap. So anyway, just keep those in mind because that'll have some implications into your experience. This will be rolling out late January, so now-ish, to target a release late February as the target for the end of that. And then standard release late February through late May. So there will be a little bit of time there for standard release rolling out. And remember, this is Outlook on the web only. Okay.
Yeah.
So Darrell, let's switching gear. Oh, sorry. Could you lower your hand, please, in Teams? Could you? No, go ahead. Is that a phantom? Is that a legacy? I've heard. Is that a legacy hand? That's what I've heard.
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. In consulting circles of Microsoft 365.
Yeah.
Right. Well, this feature might be quite welcome, especially for those who facilitate meetings and you have hands that are left up right the way through, and you kind of have to keep track of who has lowered their hand or not, or raised their hand. Teams automatic lowering of users' raised hand after speaking, MC501981. So this is quite a clever feature, really. Simple but clever. Think about when you raise your hand, Daniel, and you're probably on mute. Usually you are, because you're raising your hand because it's usually a larger meeting. Maybe it's a smaller meeting and there's only 3 people and you're just like, I want to get a word in. But you're muted, and you raise your hand. The facilitator says, okay, yep, what's your question? You come off mute. And sometimes we forget that our hand is still up there. Well, this clever feature, what it does is it listens out for when you come off mute, you begin to speak. And it gives you a little warning here, as we've got on screen, just describing it for the podcast people. It says, the warning is, lowering your hand in a few seconds, we notice that you've spoken, and you've got an option to keep it raised if you want to. But yeah, as it hears your voice, it's going to trigger that, and then it will lower your hand automatically. Pretty cool. Clever, simple, but using its signals around it to make a smart decision and lower that hand for you. What do you think, Daniel?
Yeah, I agree. And I think this is for me, the anything that helps reduce the confusion of what's going on in the meeting, because there's 2 pain points with this whole raising hand thing. One is people go and do either they mean to do a hand clap or whatever, a thumbs up, and they hit raise hand, which is frustrating. Or the other way around, they want to raise hand, they go to a thumbs up, and they're waiting to be called. But for me, this idea of I've raised my hand, now I'm wanting to talk, right? I'm talking, having a conversation in the meeting, asking my question, whatever it is. And I don't want to have to fiddle with the hand. Because I'm talking, I don't want to have to be, I'm going to go up and lower my hand now and then talk. That's, or after I'm done talking, you want your name to drop off the list of people that have their hand raised, so that it's easier for the moderator or whoever's leading the meeting to see who's next and who they need to call on. I think this is great. I think, what the interesting thing will be is, what is the indicator for automatically lowering your hand? You talk, great. You came off mute. What if is it just come off mute and you said, and no one listened to you, and now it's lowering your hand? That's, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how that works in real life, I guess.
What's the use case too for keeping your hand raised? Right.
Yeah.
So is this for the person that says, I've got a 4-part question. So I just want to leave my hand up there.
Right.
Yeah. You can type it up, please, in the chat, and we'll answer it over the rest of the meeting. Thank you. Yeah. So that is rolling out in late March for GCC. Go back up. There's quite a list. Public preview rolling out early February, nowish. Production mid-March, expected to be complete late March. GCC late March to complete early April. GCC high to begin rolling out late April, complete early May. Wow, this is quite a spread for quite a simplistic feature. DoD will be rolling out early May, complete mid-May. Really addressing each of those stratifications month by month.
I'd like to see more of that, honestly.
Yeah.
If they're going to have different rollouts, include government clouds in there and
Oh,
tell
yeah.
us some details for sure.
Yeah, but spreading that out over so many months, I guess,
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's interesting.
Sure. Well, Daniel,
Yes.
your turn. But first of all, I just wanna praise you for your involvement in the show. You know that you're an integral part of this. I couldn't do it without you. Wouldn't want to do it without you. So I'm sending you
Sure.
some praise. You know, do you want to show that somewhere?
I think I would love for everyone to see that whenever they go and look at my profile card in Outlook and Teams. That's what I want to happen.
Or even in Twitter.
Microsoft Viva. Praise highlights in profile card in Teams and Outlook. MC 500 903. And it's exactly what we were just kind of having fun with there, is showing when someone gives you praise, showing that praise on your profile card. So when someone goes and looks at your profile card, hovers over you, clicks on you, and shows that in Teams or in Outlook, they're going to see a preview of a praise that you get, and they'll be able to see more. Yes, you can turn this off. So if you don't want people to see the praises that you're getting, you can turn it off. Okay, so there you go. Let's
So
answer that
who
question.
can turn it off?
The person. So if I don't want your praise to show up on my card, I can turn it off. I can say, hey, I don't want this on there because I'm getting stupid praise or something.
I mean, I'd like praise from this boss, but not this boss.
Right.
So well, you can't get selective, can you?
No, you cannot. So there's some interesting things about this one, though. So yes, it's Teams and Outlook only, which, hey, we can see a profile card in SharePoint. So we're not going to see that. Okay, interesting. But it's also got a time limitation on it, meaning, and it says there in the message, if it's in the past year, right? So there's a time limitation of it'll only show ones that have been given last year. So that's interesting. Why a year? Why is that? Why is there even a time? Kind of time boxing.
Sorry, it's the people that you've interacted with in the last year?
Yeah, so it's like if you and I don't talk, we don't meet, we're not in a meeting together, we haven't emailed each other, we haven't chatted in Teams in more than a year, then it won't show the praise that anybody gives me to you. Right? So if you go and look at my people card, you won't see the praises. So I'm assuming, now you know what happens when we do that, but I'm assuming this means because you're a large organization, maybe you don't want to share the praises that you're getting with someone who, is in some other vertical in your organization that, you've never interacted with or whatever. So this is interesting that they're not showing that to people who you haven't interacted in. This might be I was trying to rack my brain. Is this the first area where this is the case, where if you don't interact with somebody, they get a different experience than others that you do interact with? It's interesting.
Well, there's the graph side of things that will suggest files and stuff that people are working on, which usually it's around your circles. But yeah, this kind of feature, I haven't seen anything else like it.
And so, and another place that I was thinking about this could potentially show up, and this goes broader to praise in general, not just this feature, is I've been thinking a lot about topics, Viva topics, and when you're designated as someone who is knowledgeable about a topic, that would be interesting to see some topics integration that when I go to your profile or whatever, you get to those topics. Yeah. And then vice versa. Maybe show that some of that praise on the topics. I don't know. So that you can, if I tag you with a topic during my praise, that it shows up on that topic page. And maybe you then can be, oh, this person knows about this. Okay, we'll make them as a knowledgeable person for this as well. So I thought that was, I don't know, maybe
That's a good idea, Daniel.
Is it? I don't know.
No,
But
I
it's
think
just
so.
something that, you know,
It's like it's a social way of making the subject matter
right.
expert, I guess, show how they're active. Because we see,
Yeah.
I mean, this is a side comment, but topics will suggest a subject matter
Hmm.
expert, or you can pin someone to it
Right.
if your organization's using it. But what's the activity around that? Well, here's one signal that would
Yeah.
be great to show on the topic card.
Indeed. So this is rolling out beginning early February, so soonish, and expected to be done by late February. So you'll be able to now. Admins can disable this, so disable praise in general as well. So if that's something that you're not ready for in your organization, then you can disable. I feel like a lot of people look at praise and go, "Oh, we'll just enable it, sure, whatever." I think there's some onboarding that needs to happen. there's some there's some education that people need to receive on what praise is and what it isn't in your organization, and it really depends on your environment, the way your organization interacts with each other and gives praise. But I like seeing more surfaces rather than just in a Teams chat or something. I like seeing that.
Indeed.
So I'd like to go. We went from Outlook on the web to Microsoft Viva. Let's go back to Outlook on the web, sir. Show us and talk to us about another item about Outlook on the web, please.
Yeah, composing messages. Your experience is going to change a little bit in terms of where your buttons are. Outlook on the web, update locations to the message compose options. This is MC 501737. Let's get straight down to our graphic because it's always easier to talk about stuff when we see it. Daniel and I were talking about this too because we both use Outlook on the web. I actually use it almost exclusively now, like you, Daniel. So some of these changes aren't new to me, but they might be new to you if you haven't been using the modern experience. So remember, as we author a email, you used to have, or maybe currently before this change arrives, you would have the formatting buttons and various things down at the bottom of the body of the message. So you've added your person's name, you've added the content and the subject, and if you need to change any formatting and bits and pieces, it's down at the bottom of that message. Well, the change is that toolbar, which I would call also the simplified ribbon, is going to be at the top of your Outlook on the web experience. It is more consistent with everything else in Office. That's cool. It is also aligning with the new Outlook as that comes out too. But Daniel, you had a comment about maybe how balanced this looks and where the buttons are.
Yeah, I felt like when you're looking at the screen, and you've got Darrell showing this screenshot that we hear of what Outlook looks like, and it has the bar, which has undo and paste and the font you pick, and the editing bar.
Oh,
But
look, a
it's
loop button.
but it's spanning the whole top bar, meaning it's spanning your folder list, it's spanning across your message list, and then your preview pane or your composing area. So it's just a little bit of a change because if I'm looking at composing, I'm just focusing on this one area of the screen, then the buttons I might need to use are on the other side, right? On top of where the folder list is. And so I think it's going to be just having to get used to it a little bit. It's not different than what it is and has been in the past with Outlook app, where we had the ribbon. Everyone remember the ribbon, right? We have ribbon across the whole area. It's just a little bit of a change of thinking of where the buttons, and instead of at the bottom, they're now kind of spread across this the whole width of the editing and viewing area.
And that send button too is moved, so it will be directly above the people addressing where the message is addressed. So interesting changes, but also, as we said, aligned with everything else in Office. So that begins rolling out mid-January. So you probably are already seeing it, and it should be
am.
completed by mid-February. Done and dusted. Daniel, something
Yes.
happening in OneDrive in terms of that
Yeah,
experience.
it's another. It's actually another feature. I've already seen the move of this composing in Outlook on the web, and now it's another feature I already have, which is introducing OneDrive Home, the new landing experience, MC501991. So this is a new experience when you go to your OneDrive Home, and it should kind of look familiar. It's not a foreign concept if you've been looking at the Office Home, or now the Microsoft 365 Home, as we've talked about in previous episodes. So giving you a landing page that gives you recent documents and lets you filter those documents. Now, you probably have already... Wait a minute. So I can only filter by Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and PDF? That's what's showing
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's exactly what that means. You can only filter by those. Now, in the Microsoft 365 Home experience, the old Office Home, you could filter, you can add your own filters, based upon your criteria. You can't hear maybe yet is the way I would put that. But in the recent list of files, you will not only see those Office files and those PDFs, but you're going to see other things. You're going to see recordings. You're going to see OneNotes. You're going to see, your various content that you've been working with in that listing. So, and these are not just your files. These are your files. Okay, it's not your OneDrive files. It's your team files too. You'll see that there's team files here as well.
Huh.
And so you'll see that new home on the top left above my files, and that's this experience. So, is this a big deal? I think it is a big deal because it's a change in your user behavior, what's being shown to your users. With some of the limitations on filtering here, I'm not too terribly excited about it, but hopefully they're going to have some improvements on this. So this will be rolling out beginning in late January. I was about to read that the beginning of late January, which would be interesting, but that's not what it says. Beginning in late January, so now-ish, and I already have it. For targeted release, and then standard release rolling out early February and expect to complete by late February. So I'd like to hear, throw it in chat, or if you're on the podcast or watching this video recorded, give us your input on what do you think about this. Throw a comment in there. We'd love to hear your thoughts on, is this a thing? And are you excited about this? And what improvements would you like to see in this area?
I'd like to answer Phil's comment there. No place like home. How many homes do we need to have? Well, it's just one of those privileges of being a multi-tenanted service that you have many homes, many feeds too. By the way, yeah.
You know
Get
what?
your feed.
I thank you, Darrell, for answering his question. I think you should get a badge for that.
Really? I mean, I'd wear it, definitely. So our final message today is actually a preparation message for the Answers service, or Answers, as some people call it in the different parts of the world, in Microsoft Viva. This is getting ready for Answers badges, MC495890. The Answers service, just a quick recap, is a new thing coming to Viva Engage, Yammer, where it's a smart way of being able to go to this portal, ask your questions. It'll pair that question with a subject matter expert or an existing answer that might have been marked as best answer, upvoted, etc. Part of incentivizing people as they use this feature is that you are a subject matter expert, and you've been marked as such with the Microsoft Viva Topics service. And Um, as you're, and I've recapped watching a video of this. One key thing as you are asking your question is that you need to assign a topic to it. It actually won't let you post without it. The button's grayed out. And that's really important. It pairs it to a topic, it finds who are the subject matter experts. And if you are one of the SMEs, then you're going to see a column of questions that you could answer. This is the incentive to show how active you are, that if you are answering questions, that you will get a badge for a best answer. You also have two other types of badges with two different levels. Your seeker level 1, your question receives 3 upvotes or 10 upvotes. And a scholar, your answer receives 3 upvotes or 10 upvotes. I should clarify that the seeker one is encouraging people who are asking questions. The scholar badge is for people answering questions. But Daniel, you and I were talking about this and the number of votes or upvotes. It's interesting. What do you think about that in terms of organization size?
Yeah, I mean, every time we get a new feature, we have this, well, but I want to customize it. I'm sure Microsoft is tired of hearing that. But if you think about it, let's compare an organization that has 30 people and an organization that has 3,000. Okay? 30 people, if using this, and we have our levels here, that means 10% of your workforce. But if you remove yourself from that because you're getting the badge, more than 10% of the people in your workforce are going to have to give a reaction and upvote for you to get this level 1. But if you think about that organization that has 3,000 or 10,000, then that level 1 probably is going to be attained a whole lot faster. And even the 10 upvotes. Because if you think about that small organization, you're going to need 30% or over, like 34% of the organization to give that upvote for you to get that level 2. So it feels like, I think it's a great start, sure. If you have to pick numbers, swag at a number, great. That's fine. But it seems to be that maybe it should be configured based upon the number of active users rather than just the random number that an organization that has tens of thousands versus an organization that has less than 100. Anyway, so I think that's my input. Now
There's a good
question.
I was to say there's a question. This is from Pete.
Yep.
Are the badges specific to each community? So this is just for the Answers portal, which may span communities.
Right.
And gee, I don't know if it's even security trimmed. Do we want to show people if it was a private community, do badges show all that sort of stuff? So lots of good questions there in terms of how it's displayed.
Things like what you were just saying, the security. So you've got, let's dumb it down for me because that's what I need. All right, people. So we have 2 communities, okay? And I see Darrell has the level 2 badges. But I see in the one community we share, he's doing nothing. Like there's no, where are these answers? What's going on? I don't know what's going on. How is he getting these? And I don't even see the activity. So it's interesting. I think that's what people have to keep in mind. A little bit of gamification. Of course they come out with this and we say, okay, but I want to edit it and I want to change it and I want to, I want to change the caterpillar to something else, for the seeker. I don't know. I think this is going to be interesting to see how this happens within an organization, how it's used.
This is a good message with a link through to the Answers service and a little bit about the badges themselves. So do click through to that. Now, it is one of those features that if you are not licensed for Viva Suite or the Reliant products, then you won't see the answers, Paul. So we're going to be talking over a couple of episodes now about some of the Viva features that are arriving for people. And for those that are subscribed or have that licensing, we will begin rolling that out early February. Expect to be complete by early March. And that, Daniel, is the show. We
Indeed.
ran a little bit over, but we got excited about some of these,
we did.
these messages. And
thank you so much, everyone, for being engaging in the chat. Love seeing that. Again, please leave us a comment and follow us on socials and engage at 365MCS everywhere. Just type it in. You can search for us. And if you'd like to maybe subscribe to the audio podcast as well, all you have to do is search for 365MCS on all of the platforms, any of the platforms. So you can subscribe on multiple locations if you'd like. I don't know why, but you can. And you'll find us there. We'd love to engage with you on Twitter and Facebook and Insta and all those places. So follow us and engage. Give your thoughts and input. We'd love to amplify you as well.
Yeah, well, thank you for everyone tuning in. We'll see you again next week. Bye for now.